100 Tinder members attacked Kong at night. Ren Xiaosu has the best time to rescue Wang Yun. His original plan was to send Wang Jing and others away in 6 days. Then let's talk about rescuing Wang Yun and assassinating Kong Erdong. But now things suddenly changed. Even he was caught off guard. Ren Xiaosu understood in just a moment. The best chance to save people and kill people is tonight. Wait until he arrives at the door of the hardware store on Nangzinzhuang West Road. Wang Run meets Xiaosu here. Just walk to him quickly. What happened outside? Ren Xiaosu explained. I suspect that Tinder Company has launched a war against Kong in advance. I saw hundreds of firefighters on the road. Probably all of them are T4 level or above. Now they're heading north. Wang Run frowned and thought. Before that, we didn't receive any information at all. How did some kind of company break through the Serenity Mountains and get here? Never mind what they're here for. I suspect they are here to kill Kong Erdong. Ren Xiaosu said hurriedly. Hurry up and give me the information on the current intelligence chief of the Kong family. Wang Run was stunned for a moment. Since they are going to kill Kong Erdong, do we need to do this more? Ren Xiaosu is dissatisfied. This is called borrowing power, do you understand? Wang Run thought for a while. Tell your subordinates. Give him the information he wants. Ren Xiaosu stood in front of the computer and watched silently until he confirms that he remembers. Turn around and open the rolling shutter door. Planning to get out. You guys should rush to the villa of Wang Jing and others now. After the barriers are in chaos, many residents will start grabbing shopping mall items. Some people will directly rob the villa area. But I'm worried that something will happen to Wang Jing and the others. Wang Run was stunned for a moment. You don't have the authority to direct our Kong Erdong's mission to fail. Are you responsible? Ren Xiaosu said coldly. Rest assured, I will complete the task. No matter how important the task is. No matter how important rescue is. He also had to meet up with Yang Xiaojing first. As a result, he hadn't even returned to the villa yet. He had already seen Yang Xiaojing standing on a rooftop that he must pass by. Waiting. Ren Xiaosu was surprised. Why are you here? Yang Xiaojing explained. I know you will definitely go back to me first. So I'll wait for you here. Save some time. I don't know why Ren Xiaosu gets along with the girl in front of him. There is always a strange tacit understanding. Ren Xiaosu smiled. I was still thinking about how to tear down the barriers. To narrow our goals. As a result, Tinder is now here to help us do it. What we have to do is tonight. What do you need me to do? Yang Xiaojing asked. I need you to fight side by side with me. Ren Xiaosu and the others only have 3 things to do now. The first one was to kill the current intelligence chief. And it was also written in the big scam letter. He will discuss it with several other extraordinary beings in the prison. Let's prosper the Northwest together. The third item. He took these people with him to rescue Wang Yun's more than 200 brothers. After Yang Xiaojing listened to Ren Xiaosu's analysis. Curious. A big liar can reveal secrets. Are there any other supernatural beings in prison? Ren Xiaosu thought for a while. I think it should be quite difficult. But look at the news he delivered. Said so firmly. Let's just believe him once. Yang Xiaojing nodded. Then do as you say. At this time, the big fool was talking to the extraordinary person next door across the small single room. Listen to me. Big brother. Do you believe in fate? The guy next door said angrily. I was choked if I didn't believe the big liar. Then let's start over. Do you believe in fate? If you don't believe it, you're in a hurry. Why don't you believe anything? You'll have problems if you do this. I'll tell you. As a result, the other party said slowly and leisurely. Everyone is doing intelligence work. Big liar. I have heard of you. You have spent the past few years going to the Northwest. There are many people, but I am not missing you. You are different. The big liar said. I came here just for you. On the other side, Wang Yun next door suddenly spoke. Don't believe him. He came for me. Wang Yun, a big liar, was suddenly stunned by such a move. It's okay if you don't help. Don't do bad things, okay? At this time, the big dealer patiently explained. Your name is Ji Xiang, right? Later, in the fortress, he killed a businessman who was occupying a civilian girl. He was transferred to the 3rd branch to be in charge of field work. Later, this businessman sold your operation to Kong. That's why you were arrested. Am I right? A man named Ji Xiang. Silent. Mary's big lie. The big fool said with a hint of arrogance. Not everyone wants me in the Northwest. It's just that I admire you as a person. If you want to follow me to the northwest of Daxing, you don't need to collect information. When you see injustice, you can kill whoever you want. If I talk to someone, it doesn't mean it's true. Just take off my son Zhang Xiaoman's head. When the ball is kicked, Ji Xiang was silent for a while again. It's useless no matter how much you say. I tell you, once you're in here, don't even think about getting out. It's not even possible for the 3 of us to join forces. A loud scamming sound came from next door. I calculated that someone would break in within 3 days. Get us out. If I calculate correctly, just follow me. May I? Ji Xiang didn't answer. The big liar said again. Those Zhou children who cheated you. I have killed for you. Your wife. The child is not dead. I also intercepted Ji Xiang from the northwest. I ask you again, if someone comes to rescue us within 3 days, will you follow me or not? Ji Xiang was stunned for a moment. They are not dead. Ji Xiang started beating the metal wall crazily. Big liar. Don't lie to me. If I find out you lied to me, we'll have fun in prison for the rest of our lives. Shout and sneer. Your son got 1st place in the class this year. Your wife works in the factory of Fortress 178. I heard that your wife has quite a few suitors, but he rejected them all. Said she would wait for you to find her. I guess it will be fine in a short period of time. It's been a long time. It's hard to say that there are orphans and widowed mothers. The big liar said words that irritated Ji Xiang. But Ji Xiang was not angry. Instead, he slowly calmed down. You said someone will come to rescue us within 3 days. De suddenly smiled strangely again. Maybe it won't take 3 days. At this time, there was a chaotic scene outside Kong's intelligence agency. The streets are full of residents who have fled their homes. Current Intelligence Chief Wang Xiang hurriedly walked out of the building. Behind him were dozens of attendant officers. Where are you going at this time? Wang Xiang said angrily. I'm going to see the boss. Wipe the asses of you idiots. Tinder people are sneaking into the barrier. We have no news at all. Wang Xiang looked in front of him coldly. The group of people got into the car without saying a word. But his car just drove out not far away. I can see the end of the long road through the car window. A young man and woman are walking towards each other. The boy was holding a black knife in his hand. A happy smile on his face. The license plates match. He looked at Wang Xiang's stunned expression through the car window. Laughing, the photos are also correct. It was he who followed a roar in the street. I saw the girl raising a black sniper rifle at some point. Knocked out the car's engine. Wang Xiang's heart was already half cold. The other party opened fire indiscriminately not far from the intelligence agency. Make it clear that you have something to rely on. And he's not afraid of reinforcements at all. At this moment, the driver swallowed. Said, Sir, our car is bulletproof. Wang Xiang's eyes lit up when he heard this. But before his eyes fully lit up, just hear a click. The car was cut open by the black knife in the young man's hand. The driver was dumbfounded by this scene. Isn't this a bulletproof car? How come there are still people who can cut directly with a knife? Ren Xiaosu, break apart the broken car. He smiled and said, You must be Wang Xiang, right? As he spoke, Ren Xiaosu shook hands with Wang Xiang. Yang Xiaojing watched from the sidelines. I always feel like Ren Xiaosu is in a barrier, going out to express condolences to Lu Min's cadre affairs. The handshake session confused Wang Xiang. Ren Xiaosu continued. From now on, Wang Yun can be regarded as me from the northwest. So I say hello to you on her behalf. Wang Xiang reacted immediately. Etc. You came to kill me to rob me of prison, right? I'll give you the detonator. The words have not yet fallen. Wang Xiang took out a black remote control from his pocket. Xiaosu is happy. Pretty good. Turns out he hasn't finished speaking yet. I heard the bang of a pistol. Wang Xiang in the car died suddenly on the spot. Immediately afterwards, Yang Xiaojin casually shot the driver in front again. How to kill Ren Xiaosu directly. Smiled bitterly. I'm still ready to catch him. Yang Xiaojin waved her hand. Don't dwell on things that have passed. Villains all die because they talk too much. Xiaosu is happy. The other party still responded as always. Boy randomly shoots into thousands of people, but he can always kill everyone's leader accurately. Is this strength or luck? It turns out that Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing, after killing the intelligence chief Wang Ziyang, he began to be frantically pursued and intercepted by the entire Kong intelligence agency. These intelligence agency people, the T4 Special Forces, even gave up on encircling and suppressing the fire. My parents were killed in front of my home. The murderer is still on the run. If this spreads, after Kong, don't try to raise your head in the intelligence community. Ren Xiaosu didn't seem to realize that it would attract so many people. We can only keep running away with Xiaojing in the alley. As a result, before they could cross the alley, there are people blocking the road ahead. The other party is wearing a black suit. After meeting Ren Xiaosu, raise your hand and shoot immediately. But just as he was about to pull the trigger, Yang Xiaojing is holding this sniper rifle. A shot fired without aim. That person is like a piece of paper. He was beaten and flew backwards. Yang Xiaojing did not pause after shooting. Turn around directly. Face their way. Quietly waiting for the pursuers behind me. Just rushed into the alley. I saw the girl wearing a peaked cap. One shot fired a sniper bullet. Instantly killed 2 intelligence agency combatants. And Yang Xiaojing didn't even blink an eye from beginning to end. All right. They should not dare to chase you in for the time being, right? Saying that, Yang Xiaojing took the lead and walked out of the alley. However, they underestimated the determination of the intelligence agencies to pursue. Soon after they were born, the crazy sound of the engine sounded again. And there was actually a vehicle hitting me from the front. Yang Xiaojing used the newsstand as a cover. Ren Xiaosu, on the other hand, rushed towards the off-road vehicle ahead without hesitation. The driver saw Ren Xiaosu rushing towards him. Didn't turn. He seems to be planning to drive. Hit Ren Xiaosu directly to death. At the moment when people and cars are about to collide, Ren Xiaosu suddenly slid to the right. Just avoid the car. And his arms were held flat against the underworld. Let the black knife collide with the front window of the vehicle. Black knife cuts like tofu. Cut a deep groove into the car. The person sitting in the car has already lost his head. The vehicles behind were frightened when they saw this. But it's too late to apply the brakes. The driver tried to adjust his sitting position to avoid the blade. But the space inside the car is so narrow. Can't escape at all. And Yang Xiaojing was hiding behind the newsstand. The corners of the mouth are slightly raised. Just listen to the roar of the sniper rifle. The other vehicles were blown up on the spot. This burning vehicle is like a fire barricade. Blocked all the pursuers from behind. Yang Xiaojing thought, it's annoying to have them chasing you all the time. It would be better to scare them away. Then Yang Xiaojing raised her hand and pointed to an 8-story building not far away. The battle will be over in 10 minutes. Ren Xiaosu originally wanted to say something, but he saw that Yang Xiaojing had quickly climbed to the roof along the outer wall. Ren Xiaosu smiled. Climbed to the roof too. Then he showed up in a dark drama. Shoot with Yang Xiaojing to suppress fire. But he just fired a shot. I heard someone exclaimed from a street away. Come quickly. The other party's voice in the middle of the night almost made Xiaosu confused. He just fired a shot casually. I don't even know who the target is. Why did you just beat Pei Wenjin to death? Doesn't this palace have any hidden attributes in me? Next to her, Yang Xiaojing looked curious. Luck is still Ren Xiaosu laughing. How can it be luck? This is strength. Do you understand the strength? Yang Xiaojing rolled his eyes. There are more people in the east. Let's suppress this side together first. Break them up. After hearing this, Ren Xiaosu raised his black sniper, aiming at a random person to the east and shooting. Just shot. I heard exclamations erupting from the east. Come quickly. How about we withdraw? With a bang, Ren Xiaosu's third shot has been fired. Beaten to a bloody pulp. For a time, people from the intelligence agency no longer dared to stay. decisively chose to retreat. Now Yang Xiaojing finally couldn't help it anymore. What a strength. Ren Xiaosu looked at Yang Xiaojing. Luck is also part of strength. Maybe it's possible to hit with 1 shot and 2 shots. But so many guns. It's always a casual shot. Those who will always be beaten to death are the ones with the highest officials. This is definitely not Ren Xiaosu's own luck. This scene is so familiar. Ren Xiaosu had already reacted. This is Yin Luyuan making a wish to protect her. Yang Xiaojing also reacted. You mean 6 yuan? Ren Xiaosu nodded. Although I don't know where he is. But he must still be alive. I can't shoot casually anymore. It will bring backlash to him. Yang Xiaojing. Knowing how much Ren Xiaosu cares about Yin Luyuan. Now that Ren Xiaosu is sure that Xiao Luyuan is still alive. He also felt very happy. I saw that Ren Xiaosu was a little confused. What should I do now? Let's go find 6 yuan. Yang Xiaojing smiled. You don't know where he is. Let's settle the matter at Barrier 31 first. All you need to do now is live well. We can always meet each other while we are alive. However, at this moment, suddenly there was a rumble of collapse from the northern wall of the fortress. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing looked at each other at the same time. There was a huge fire in just a moment. Only the hundreds of T4 combatants from Tinder were seen, under the leadership of T5, mixed in with refugees. Xiaosu, who was approaching the machine gun position, looked at the chaos inside the barrier. Go. Let's rescue De Hua and Wang Yun first and then tell the secret. The big liar in the prison is shouting. Why don't you even have dinner? Prisoners are people too, right? It's just that it's quiet in the corridor prison. No one answered the big liar question at all. The big liar muttered. Strange. Even the prison guards have withdrawn here. At this time, 2 prison guards came out of the gate at the end of the corridor. Go straight through the corridor. Shouting and shouting. Don't let us go out to dinner. At least bring food in. As a result, the 2 prison guards didn't even look at it. A big deception. Left directly from the other side of the corridor. Something's wrong. Wang Yun, who had been silent all this time, suddenly. The pace of these people is much faster than usual. The steps you take should also be about 1 centimeter larger. Something big must have happened. Dahu was stunned again. I said you are more mysterious than me now. I can even remember the length of their daily steps. Wang Yun looked indifferent. I can remember their previous walks. Then compare it in your mind with the current situation. It's like 2 films overlapped. Same as before. Still different. You can tell it apart at once. The big fool admired from the sidelines. Why don't you go to Daxing Northwest? What a pity. At this time Ji Xiang asked. You said someone would come to rescue me within 3 days. Do you already have a plan? Wang Yun complained on the sidelines. He has a fucking plan. I don't know how Northwest can feel reassured. Leave the Field Intelligence Agency to you. Big liar. Not happy anymore. Do you think I came in just to find out the situation? Anyway, as long as the young marshal can rescue you guys in the end, that's all. The stepson was stunned for a moment. How many people did the young commander you mentioned bring with him? Suddenly and embarrassingly. Maybe it's just him. Ji Xiang has some doubts. They are all young marshals from the Northwest. I will risk my own life to save you. Big liar. I'm sure he will come. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to become a young marshal. That's just him. Ji Xiang suddenly looks like Wang Yun. I think the big scam is a bit unreliable. How can one person break through here? Careless and careless. He said don't worry. He must have thought about these things. Ji Xiang was speechless. He doesn't know where this big deception comes from. So trusting. That so-called young marshal. Then do you know when the young commander will arrive? The words just fell. The entire prison began to tremble. The floating dust from the ceiling fell down loudly. They were disgraced by the big fool. That roar was clearly some kind of bomb exploding. The big liar burst out laughing. The young marshal is here. At this time, dense numbers of prison guards ran through the corridor. As these people walked through the hallway, shouted and sneered, "Did I allow you to pass?" As he spoke, he actually raised his foot and kicked towards the cell door in front of him. I saw the cell door made of special metal. He was immediately kicked out by the big fool. He smashed the bones of the 2 prison guards who were passing by the door into pieces. Wang Yun is not idle either. When several prison guards passed by his door, a sudden air explosion sounded in my ears. The air is controlled by Wang Yun, continuously condensing in the prison guard's ears. Then it quickly exploded towards the cochlea. He actually smashed the prison guard's head into pieces. There are dozens of prison guards in the corridor. They were supposed to assemble in response to the sirens. But I didn't expect that such a strong cage wouldn't be able to trap the person in front of me. This old man doesn't know how he caught this old man in the first place. Isn't this a scam? The big liar stood carelessly in the corridor. Just stop causing trouble. Stay and play with me. The warden also led 10 prison guards to inspect the prison. As a result, the passage gate was suddenly blown open. The warden looked coldly at the direction of the passage. What no one expected at the next moment was a steam train actually drove in through that wide passage. Boy drives steam train to rob prison. It shocked the warden directly, and there was a man in black standing at the front of the car, holding a cold and eerie heavy machine gun in his hand. Suddenly someone shouted that Wang Chongyang should open fire. As he spoke, the muzzle of the gun in the man's hand suddenly spurted out tongues of fire. The prison guards who were still in shock just now. There was no time to react at all. He was suddenly killed. The power of a steam train coupled with a heavy machine gun. Like a mobile bunker. It's never as simple as 1 + 1 is equal to 2. The warden looked at the steam train with a livid face. He didn't expect someone to be on his property. So wanton and arrogant. At this moment, the warden suddenly appeared with a flying needle, shooting towards the steam train. The plane really hit the man in black at the front of the car. Then the man in black disappeared out of thin air. Ren Xiaosu, who was hiding in the train, was also stunned. The man in black is a shadow. But the shadow suddenly returned to the palace at this time. Motionless. No matter how much Ren Xiaosu summoned him, there was no response. Something strange happened. The warden was also shocked at this time. His ability. Just as Ren Xiaosu guessed. As long as the silver needle hits any object, you can seal everything. But the warden didn't expect. This man in black turned out to be someone's ability limit. The warden thought secretly. A flying needle can condense into 1 in 3 days. Can store 3 in your mind. Now 1 is used up and only 2 are left. But he has determined that there are only 2 comings. 1 has been destroyed now. Wait until you waste it. That steam train. Think of this. The warden did not hesitate to control the second needle dart and shoot it out. Zhongzhong steam train. At this time the warden finally breathed a sigh of relief. Defeat 2 extraordinary beings in a row. The overall situation has been decided. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin walked out of the passage. The warden saw this and smiled. You 2 are ruined. Dare to walk in if you have the ability. Really commendable courage. I haven't finished speaking yet. The warden noticed something was wrong. He suddenly turned around. The third flying needle suddenly shot out. Hit behind. I saw a shadow door open there at some point. The flying needle hits the shadow door. The shadow gate has also disappeared. Originally, Ren Xiaosu thought that Feijin would pass through the shadow gate. But I didn't expect that Feijin would be so weird. It's just that the warden is a little panicked now. Because he saw Ren Xiaosu pull out a black knife from nothingness. And the other girl gathered a black army. The warden is a little confused. Hasn't he already sealed 3 abilities? But the other party's ability seems to be endlessly sealed. To be honest, the warden's ability meets other extraordinary beings. Fighting alone will definitely give you the upper hand. But this time he met Ren Xiaosu. How many abilities do you have? To put it more generously, the opponent's 3 flying needles are simply not enough to see. Ren Xiaosu smiled slightly. Look at his face. I guess they ran out of flying needles. Yang Xiaojing said in surprise from the side. Just 3? Then this ability is a bit useless. Ren Xiaosu nodded. It's quite tasteless. The warden heard what these 2 men said. Everyone is feeling bad. The problem is obviously between you 2, okay? While thinking, suddenly there was a sound of wind behind me. The big liar kicked the warden's face into shape. The whole person flew out like a kite with its string cut off. The big fool looked at Marshal Ren Xiaosu eagerly. You're here. Big liar. Ji Xiang behind him looked at Ren Xiaosu. Hello. My name is Ji Xiang. This time I'm going back to the northwest with De Hua. Ren Xiaosu hurriedly stepped forward to shake hands with a cheerful smile. Hello, hello. Wang Yun will give you an extra one. Too polite. Too polite. Wang Yun's face turned dark. How can I save my more than 200 brothers? Ren Xiaosu comforted him. If you're in a hurry, I'm sure we can save you. Just let them go out and cause more chaos. Ji Xiang and others followed Ren Xiaosu back to the cell area. Wang Yun said later, 17 of them. I recommend not releasing, because they are all spies of the royal family or the Zhou family, and extremely capable. The future may bring some hidden dangers to the northwest. This moment, Dahu felt that all the hardships he had suffered before were worth it. There is an extraordinary person like Wang Yun with extremely high intelligence value. Many things will become very simple in the northwest. Because Wang Yun was taken away. It's equivalent to taking away the entire Kong family's information network. Now Wang Yun has begun to take the initiative to make plans for the northwest. Is this a good start? I shouted and thought of this again. Simply feel good. Ren Xiaosu is thoughtful. Then keep them locked up here. It's too cruel. Wang Yun said coldly. I hope you will never act like a woman at this time. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. Profound. Then you don't have to worry too much. As he said that, he walked towards the cell area. Now they're shouting through the metal bars. Let us out. Let us do anything. Ren Xiaosu said seriously to the prisoner in the cell in front of him. Say thank you 3 times. As long as you are sincere enough, I'll let you out. The 3 people on the side were all confused. What is this operation? I co-write that you come to prison in the middle of the night to be a good person. Good things are coming. The prisoners inside are also a bit fierce. But it's not hard to say thank you. Immediately afterwards, Ren Xiaosu received a large number of thank you pins. Ren Xiaosu was happy. But he didn't explore either. After all, time is tight. He can't stay here too long. Ren Xiaosu threw a bunch of keys to Wang Yun. Let him open the door to the prisoner. Ren Xiaosu changed to the next cell. Follow the same pattern. Prisoners were released one after another. What makes Xiaosu happy is that the thanks from these people are basically very sincere. Insincere. That's just a few people. At this moment, Wang Yun saw Ren Xiaosu walking towards the next cell. Then reminded. The person detained here is one of the 17 people I mentioned. After saying this, Wang Yun looked on with cold eyes. I want to see how Ren Xiaosu plans to deal with it. As a result, Ren Xiaosu had just walked to the cell door. I haven't waited for that person to speak yet. I just threw a grenade inside. Boom. A huge cloud of smoke and dust exploded in the cell. Wang Yun and Ji Xiang were both shocked. Ren Xiaosu just said to keep them locked up here. Too cruel. Then he gave the other party a happy. Is this the warmest thing in the legend? Then do the most ruthless thing. Only at this moment did Wang Yun realize that he had misunderstood this young marshal from the northwest. This guy is worrying about the kindness of women. This guy is clearly the best of the best. No wonder those sharpies in the northwest would agree. This young man Wang Yun prides himself on being ruthless. But it is simply incomparable to Ren Xiaosu. After this explosion, the prisoners in the other cells were a little panicked. Ren Xiaosu looked at the prisoner with a smile and said, Thanks. I'll let you go. The prisoners in this prison are terrified. Asked, What happened next door just now? Why did you blow him up? Ren Xiaosu said with a smile. Because he didn't say thank you. To be honest, just based on what Ren Xiaosu did in prison today, looks crazier than Li Shintan. In the eyes of prisoners, Ren Xiaosu came to jail just to say thank you. But you don't say thank you. He will blow up. What do you think of this behavior? How does it look like a psychosis? The prisoner swallowed. Thanks. Seeing the thank you coins coming in, Ren Xiaosu waved his hand. Let him go. The prisoner was immediately overjoyed. I didn't expect to say thank you. Really able to regain freedom. But when he opened the door and came out, I heard that Ren Xiaosu was already arguing with the neighbor next door. Ren Xiaosu has a dark face. You're not sincere even when you say thank you. How can I let you go? The prisoner in that cell also has a bad temper. Why am I not interested? Which eye of yours saw that I was unhappy? At this time, a task suddenly occurred in the palace. Get 66 from the prisoner in front of you. Thank you, Pin. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. Isn't this embarrassing? The other party hasn't even given one yet. How else could I get 66 pieces? But Ren Xiaosu suddenly recalled something that happened in the past. After he was silent for a moment, suddenly said, I thank your mother. As a result, the prisoners in the cell became anxious upon hearing this. I thank you 8 generations of ancestors. Thanks from Zheng Shiding. Bai Jiai and Ren Xiaosu said expressionlessly. I thank you grandma for your legs. And cell. I thank you uncle. I thank you for the banana peel. Ren Xiaosu just scolded people for more than 100 rounds. It's not over until I collapse after being scolded by that guy loudly. Wang Yun said in a daze. This is your young commander from the northwest. Ji Xiang laughed. I think it's quite interesting. Ren Xiaosu also completed the task given by the palace with satisfaction. The reward this time is 2 points. Freely assignable attributes. He directly adds a little balance to strength and agility. Now his strength attribute is 14.5. Agility is 14 points. 1. When going out, he shouted and looked at Ren Xiaosu again. Is this warden still alive? How to deal with it? Ren Xiaosu glanced at the warden. In fact, he was also very confused, because he really wants the other person's abilities. If conditions permit, he even wanted to lock him up, then wait for him to accumulate 3 perfect skill learning pictures. Just use a big trick on this thing. Seeing Ren Xiaosu hesitate, he asked curiously, Did you keep him because you wanted to take him to Daxing Northwest with you? Wang Yun waved her hand to stop her. Impossible. This warden is the illegitimate son of Kong's second wife. How could such a person come with us to Daxing Northwest? Ren Xiaosu glanced at the warden on the ground. Kill it. To save his comrades from meeting him later. Capsized in the gutter. At this time, Wang Yun looked at Ren Xiaosu. The Kong family's captors must be arriving soon. I saw when you released the prisoners just now. Unhurriedly. He must be confident. Tell us about your plans. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. I have no plan. Wang Yun felt a sigh of relief in her chest. He suddenly discovered. People in the Northwest don't seem to like making plans. He has a dark face. What should we do? Now go out and face Kong's garrison and die. Did you know that there is a reinforced crossbow in Bulwark 31? Ren Xiaosu looked unconcerned. You said this. I guess they can't care less about me now. Don't worry. I've been doing all the preparations. Wang Yun said doubtfully. After I was arrested and brought in. It was Wang Xiang who took my place, right? The detonator you got from him. Aren't there people from the intelligence agencies hunting you? Ren Xiaosu said with a smile. Chased. But the people who were chasing him were all dead. Wang Yun suddenly fell silent. He always feels that the young marshal from the Northwest is bragging. You must know that the intelligence force in Fortress 31 is the strongest. There are still 2 light extraordinaries. There's no need to mention the other combatants. Ren Xiaosu walked out swaggeringly. Be at ease 100 times. You'll understand after just one look. At this time, the sound of an engine was heard not far away. Are you planning on walking to another prison? The person who got on the bus, Xiaosu, was very happy. My girl is still thoughtful. 3 people were stunned at the same time. They looked at the fire that filled the sky inside the barrier. Listen to the sound of explosions in the distance. Everyone has a shocked expression as the vehicle moves. They also saw countless refugees running through the streets. Wang Yun murmured, Marshal, is this the preparation you're talking about? To be honest, 1 second before. Wang Yun is still a little dissatisfied with Ren Xiaosu. Although I had seen Ren Xiaosu's abilities in the Holy Mountain, but he was infuriated by the unprepared robbery by the big scammer. So much so that I don't even feel at ease with Ren Xiaosu either. But at this moment Wang Yunfu was happy. Young Marshal. To save them. It actually destroyed Barrier 31. I was so stupid just now that I thought. The young marshal cannot kill the intelligence agents who are chasing him. This is the barrier destroyer. There may be wrong names in this world, but there's really no wrong nickname. The boy went to jail to rob. They even demolished the city where the prison was built. Ren Xiaosu came outside the number 31 barrier prison. I am worried about how to rescue Wang Yu's 200 brothers. As a result, Ji Xiang spoke first. Rescued by everyone. I haven't demonstrated my valuable abilities yet. Why don't you just let me handle this prison? The big liar was stunned for a moment. I know you are an Earth-type supernatural being, but extraordinary abilities don't seem to be what you're best at, right? Ji Xiang was stunned for a moment. The wry smile was underestimated. What I was responsible for at the time was. The result was that the ship capsized in the hands of the warden. As he spoke, Ji Xiang stood up and walked towards barrier prison number 31. I saw him pointing his finger in the air. That impregnable prison building. He was actually killed and turned into 4 quarters. Ji Xiang said to Wang Yun. Wang Yun did not hesitate. His eyes suddenly turned silver gray. An air bubble? It only takes a moment to launch from his joined palms. The originally well-defended prison fortress was instantly dilapidated. All the prisoners in the prison were agitated. Some prisoners began to flee frantically. The big fool was shocked when he saw this scene. I found a treasure. At this time Ren Xiaosu suddenly asked, I think you can save them both yourself, right? Although the warden's ability is strange, but it doesn't have much impact on your pure power system. The big liar laughed. What does the young marshal want to ask? Ren Xiaosu was puzzled. Why do you have to wait for me to save you? The big liar laughed. What's the point of me saving them? I'm the one in charge of field service. I don't need these 2 people to become my lover. Ren Xiaosu is thoughtful. So you make them my lovers. The big liar nodded. Although 178 fortress, half the people over there have already started to support you. But there are still some elderly people who don't agree with it. After all, you are still too young. Have not received systematic military training. But they don't object either. I just need you to prove yourself with more things. Ren Xiaosu wondered. You 2 don't do your intelligence work well. Why are you thinking so much? The big liar shook his head. This is what Commander Zhang meant. Now Xiaosu was stunned. He didn't expect. In order for Zhang Jinglin to successfully take over the 178 fortress, I'm actually starting to make plans now. Is the other party so sure that he is qualified for that position? Get excited. Brothers. Sir is here to save us. Everyone, please work harder. Kill all these prison guards first. Ren Xiaosu listened to the prisoners in the prison shouting for death from a distance. He originally thought that robbing this prison would take a lot of effort. I didn't expect that I wouldn't have to take action myself. Wang Yun and Ji Xiang got in through the gap in the prison together. When the others inside saw Wang Yun, they were overjoyed. Immediately joined Wang Yun's side. Wang Yun looked at his brothers and smiled. It's a long story. Are all our people here? Zhang Yinhe said. 289 people actually arrived. Sir, where are we going now? Wang Yu said silently. Northwest. I don't know why. Wang Yun was talking about Northwest at this time. He suddenly felt like he had found his home. As if I should go. It's like a big trick to say that your life is going to be prosperous. Northwest really saw his subordinates and others looking at each other. Wang Yun explained. This time we were able to get out of trouble thanks to Northwest. Come on, follow me to meet the young commander. Talking. Wang Yun and Ji Xiang rushed out of the prison with more than 200 people. At this moment, a prison guard hiding in the dark saw them escaping. Lift the muzzle and shoot. Zhang Yinhe was the first to discover the prison guard. Seeing that his gun was pointed at Wang Yun. Even if you push Wang Yun away, I want to take the shot for the commander. But not before he pushed Wang Yun. Zhang Yinhe saw blood blooming on the prison guard's chest. He was stunned for a moment. Where do snipers come from? Wang Yun has lingering fears. Just reunited, causing him to forget a little. So it's good that Yang Xiaojin took action. Otherwise, today's happy reunion of their brothers will turn into a funeral. Zhang Yinhe asked, Sir, where did you find the sniper? Wang Yun said to Zhang Yinhe and others. It's not that I'm looking for the young marshal's wife. The chaos in Bulwark 31 also has something to do with them. Zhang Yin, and they were both confused. Sir, you mean just the two of them? At this time, they had already reached Ren Xiaosu's side. After Yang Xiaojing confirmed that it was safe, then stand up from the lawn. Got the sniper rifle. Wang Yun said, "Thank you in advance, Marshal, for your life-saving grace." More than 200 brothers immediately bowed in unison. "Thank you, Marshal." Ren Xiaosu suddenly beamed and smiled. The typewriter in the palace is already busy and can't stop. This beautiful thank you seems to be sincere from the bottom of my heart. He stepped forward. Shake hands with everyone cordially. They are all good comrades. Northwest welcomes you. Yang Xiaojing on the side looked at this scene. Suddenly, it felt like Ren Xiaosu had transformed into a veteran cadre. Wang Yun turned to look at Yang Xiaojing. "Come together." "Thank you, Madam Young Marshal." Yang Xiaojing waved his hand. "Let's thank Ren Xiaosu." Although Yang Xiaojing doesn't know, why does Ren Xiaosu always like to let others say thank you? But this will definitely be useful to Ren Xiaosu. Zhang Yinhe took the lead and bowed to Ren Xiaosu again to thank him. Ren Xiaosu was laughing so hard that he could hardly close his mouth from ear to ear. "Thank you for the great coin harvest tonight." Directly exceeded 5,400 coins. It seems that we are not far away from unlocking the third weapon with 10,000 coins. It's almost a big scam. Just asked the young marshal. "How do we leave?" This actually confused Ren Xiaosu. He originally planned to take the steam train to send the king directly, transport them out of the city. But now the steam train is sealed. I can't say goodbye to these people. So De Hua, Wang Yun and others immediately decided to go back to the prison to steal the car. There are buses transporting prisoners there. 5 vehicles are enough to carry more than 200 people. Ren Xiaosu explains to the big liar. "When you leave the barrier, be careful to avoid the battle area between Fire and Kong. Now the fire in the north has just destroyed the rampart wall. But I don't think their only purpose is this." Big House nods in agreement again. But Wang Yun is a little confused. "Young Marshal, do you mean you won't come with us?" Ren Xiaosu explained. "There is also a medical team from the royal family in this barrier. They are very respectable. I can't watch them die in Bulwark 31. Wang Yun was a little confused. For the royal hostage? Some of these people are trying to save lives and heal the wounded. Busy all my life. I just know they are respectable people. Ren Xiaosu watched the 5 buses go away. He turned around and got into the off-road vehicle with Yang Xiaojing. Prepare to rescue Wang Jing and others. The current war in the north of the barrier. All the refugees are desperately trying to escape south. So much so that Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing's off-road vehicles almost got stuck on the road. Ren Xiaosu felt a little regretful. It seems that there is no chance to kill Kong Erdong now. Yang Xiaojing nodded. He looked through the car window at the firelight outside. Let's put the matter with the refugee Kong Erdong aside. The result Wang Shengji wanted has been achieved. It makes no difference whether Kong Erdong dies or not. According to Wang Shengji's plan, after killing Kong Erdong, it will take a long time for the Kong family to become chaotic. It's different now. Directly in one step. When the off-road vehicle drove into the villa area, Ren Xiaosu shouted loudly into the villa. "Don't shoot. It's the sound of surprise coming from my villa." Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing are back. Wang Jing opens the door. Looking at Ren Xiaosu carefully, he didn't ask what Ren Xiaosu had done. Instead, he immediately asked him if he was injured. Ren Xiaosu said, "Haha. Yang Xiaojing and I were just going out for a walk. I didn't expect this to happen suddenly. As a result, we were stranded on the road. It took me a long time to find the way back." Trinity Society. Everyone here has an expression like, "I believe you are a ghost." But everyone doesn't know how to refute. On the way out, the atmosphere in the car is extremely silent. In the end, it's a good idea. Can't help but speak. "Ren Xiaosu, did you do all this?" Ren Xiaosu quickly denied. "It wasn't me. I'm just an ordinary heart surgeon." But at this moment, there is a row of black motorcades, passed by the convoy of Trinity Society. Liang Su is planning to say something more, but he saw Ren Xiaosu staring closely at the motorcade. The black convoy is heading east. Very fast. As if escaping. Ren Xiaosu suddenly said to Yang Xiaojing, "You don't need to slow down. I'm going out." Yang Xiaojing asked thoughtfully. Kong Erdong is right. It's his license plate number. I guess he has no intention of living or dying with Bulwark 31. Now preparing to escape. After Ren Xiaosu said that, he opened the car door and jumped out, all the way towards Kong Erdong's convoy. Good policy is speechless. Didn't I just say that I am just an ordinary heart surgeon? Wang Jing saw Ren Xiaosu jumping up through the car window. It landed impartially on the roof of a certain car in the black motorcade. Then Ren Xiaosu grabbed a black knife from nowhere. It was inserted straight into the back seat of the car through the roof. Then, Ren Xiaosu unexpectedly caught up with the fast-moving convoy again. Got into the car at the front. Liang Su and Meng Nan, who were sitting in the back seat of the car in front, were both dumbfounded. The two of them looked at Ren Xiaosu, the co-pilot, as if nothing was wrong. Good strategy, exclaimed. You killed the boss of the Kong family? Now everyone in the Trinity Society team understood. Ren Xiaosu is not here for any medical exchange at all. Just come to kill people. But Wang Jing is a little confused. How could a killer be so proficient in cardiac surgery? Still so good at treating trauma? Ask where to go now. Ren Xiaosu said without hesitation that he would return to the royal family. Now the Kong family is completely finished. As a result, the words just fell. Yang Xiaojing next to him actually stepped on the brakes. Ren Xiaosu looked up. Suddenly I saw a fire troop that was surrounding me. How unlucky is Ren Xiaosu? He obviously just escaped from the Kong family. As a result, he was caught red-handed by the main force of Tinder. Ren Xiaosu sighed. If it were just the two of them. You can leave now. But behind them there is Trinity led by Wang Jing. Learned both of them. If you just run away like this, Wang Jing and others will definitely end up miserable. And the doctors on the bus were all panicked. When have they ever seen such a battle? Someone doesn't stop the car. Questioning Mr. Wang Jing on the intercom. What should we do now? At this time, Wang Jing didn't know what to do. But he has seen strong winds and waves. But it's not worth mentioning in the face of war. It's just that he picked up the communication device immediately. Everyone pay attention. The identities of Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing must not be exposed. Remember, they are part of the medical team. If someone intentionally reveals this information to Tinder, don't blame me. Show no mercy after returning to the royal family. Ren Xiaosu fell silent when he heard Wang Jing's voice. Unexpectedly, the other party's first thought was to protect himself. Now everyone can see. Ren Xiaosu suddenly opened the car door. Then raise your hands above your head. Heading towards Pyrocorp's troops. We are the medical team of the Royal 3 Medical Associations. Come to Kongsher for medical exchanges. Please don't hurt us. We are not combatants. Everyone in the car was shocked. Looking at the soldiers with live ammunition on the other side of Tinder. They all pointed their guns at the convoy. Replace them. No one has the courage to be alone, facing the main force of Tinder. But this young man has courage that ordinary people don't have. Yang Xiaojing glanced at Ren Xiaosu. I also slowly got out of the car. He raised his hands to show that he had no weapons. Ren Xiaosu was also very nervous at this time. He was very worried that the main force of Tinder would shoot without hesitation. Shoot all suspected targets. After the convoy, Wang Jing also took the lead and got out of the car. 2 combat teams from the fire force quickly approached. A combat team is responsible for guarding everyone here at Trinity Society. The other one carefully searched all the vehicles. In the end, it was discovered that the convoy was filled with medical equipment and medicines. Only then did a Tinder officer slowly walk over. Then he looked at Wang Jing silently. You are the leader of this medical team. Wang Jing said, neither humble nor overbearing. I'm the vice president of Trinity Society. We are here as a medical communication practice of the Trinity Society. But I never thought there would be a war. Tinder officer said, please show your ID. Ren Xiaosu heard the other party say this. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. At least the attitude revealed by the other party now. It doesn't look like he wants to kill innocent people indiscriminately. In the past, Ren Xiaosu always had two completely different impressions of Tinder. One is to use any means necessary to complete the task. Another is to stand up in the face of human justice. Seems very contradictory. At this time, Wang Jing handed his ID to the fire officer. The other party took a look and said, "In principle, we will not harm medical personnel. But how can I be sure that you are all medical workers? Documents can also be forged." Wang Jing is a little embarrassed. "Otherwise, you can send someone to evaluate us. I believe all of us can pass the assessment." Suddenly an officer trotted up to the fire officer and whispered. I saw this firebrand officer's expression suddenly change, and immediately said to the adjutant next to him, "Put all these doctors on a truck. Everyone will return to the north immediately." Ren Xiaosu was stunned. What is going on? Why is it that the main force of Huazhong is going back to the north? Aren't you going to occupy Bulwark 31? But I saw the officer handing Wang Jing's ID back to Wang Jing. Everyone has been temporarily called up. Start immediately. You are not allowed to act without authorization. Someone in the Third Ant Society is anxious. Why are we going north? I've shown you the certificates. We are just doctors. Don't know how to fight. The fire officer said coldly. New warriors appear in the north. Bulwark number 176 was massacred. My fire has entered the first level of combat readiness. It just so happened that there were wounded in the war between our army and the Kong family. The medical force accompanying the army is no longer enough. Please feel free to save lives and heal the wounded in our army. Where is the cure for the disease? Do you think anyone has any doubts? Isn't Bulwark 176 royal territory? What does it have to do with your Tinder? The officer gave the speaker a cold look. This time it's our foreign enemies who are here, are kindling. It is necessary to make them pay with blood. After saying this, the officer jumped into a military off-road vehicle, pulling everyone together and galloping away to the north. At this time, Tinder himself doesn't even know what kind of characters he has brought with him. Enter the fire force. To be honest, the kind-hearted Ren Xiaosu really doesn't want to stay in the Tinder team. Harm them. But Tinder disagrees. Tinder has been on the road for 3 consecutive days. Almost the whole process was non-stop. Wang Jing and others are just ordinary doctors. I can't stand this kind of trouble at all. I started having a fever the next day, but their medicine was confiscated. There is no way to save Wang Jing. So Ren Xiaosu bit the bullet and found the Tinder officer. Then he secretly stuffed a watch into his. Someone here is sick and has a fever. Can you give me 13 blankets? After all, we are now considered military doctors. In the future, you will also treat your comrades in the team. It's not cost-effective to die on the road now. As a result, the other party glanced at his watch. Pass it back to Ren Xiaosu. It's true that we were negligent. I forgot to issue you with marching equipment. I'll have someone deliver it to you later. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that the other party would actually return the watch. You must know that watches can also be regarded as one of the currencies these days. And it's valuable. Ren Xiaosu asked tentatively. Sir, we haven't fought before either. Follow you to the front line like this. Will it hold you back? The fire officer was happy. It's like you guys are so helpless. Back to the front line. Rest assured. I won't let you go to the front line. We recruit you. I'm not asking you to go to war, but let you do what you are best at. Ren Xiaosu thought to himself secretly. What the doctor has to do. It is to devote your limited life to the unlimited medical cause. And what he is best at is giving away all his limited life. Think about it this way. What we all do really have something in common. All related to limited life. Half an hour later, a fire soldier not only delivered more than 10 blankets. Even 6 tablets of antibiotics were delivered. You'd better pray you don't get sick. Medicines are rare. Wait. I won't be able to use it in a fight with those people from the north. This actually surprised Ren Xiaosu a little bit. The other party refused to accept his watch without telling him. I actually gave him a little surprise. Originally, Ren Xiaosu had no intention of asking for medicine, because he has it in his own space. You can definitely feed it to Wang Jing secretly. In fact, this also made Ren Xiaosu a little surprised. In the past he thought, Tinder is a group of emotionless war machines. But now Ren Xiaosu always feels there's not much difference between these people and everyone else. However, being in the fire force sometimes makes Ren Xiaosu unhappy. Every day when I go to get food, I have to wait until all the firefighters have finished eating. Only then can they go to get food. As a result, Ren Xiaosu and the others couldn't even eat. On the way, Ren Xiaosu secretly gave Yang Xiaojing a piece of chocolate, and Yang Xiaojing stuffed it into his mouth when no one was paying attention. Because the relationship between food sources cannot be explained, Ren Xiaosu can't give food to others, although they often can't get food. But Yang Xiaojing never worried that he would be hungry. He knew that Ren Xiaosu had a lot of things hidden in his body. Suddenly someone sighed. I'm so hungry. If you can't get food anymore, I'm afraid we'll starve to death here before we get to the health center. Ren Xiaosu thought for a while. I'll go figure it out. If you suffer from hunger for 4 days, sleeping in the truck bed every day and getting cold again, something will definitely go wrong. As he said this, he took advantage of the break of the fire troops to recuperate. He ran to find the fire officer again. The fire officer heard footsteps. Looking up at Ren Xiaosong. What's up, Mr. Wang Jing? Feeling better? Ren Xiaosu nodded and felt better. Thank you. Antibiotic fire brought by someone. The officer glanced at Ren Xiaosu. You're welcome. I'm just looking at it from an intellectual point of view. Avoid doctor sickness. In future wars, doctors will save more of my comrades. Ren Xiaosu suddenly asked. I don't know how to call you, sir. The fire officer smiled. P5092. For you. This name may seem a bit unfamiliar. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. He knows T5, but this is the first time I have seen P5. It turns out that the command sequence within Tinder starts with the letter P, and the suffix of this officer is 092. I guess he is also a person with a higher status within Tinder. At this time, P5092 also became curious. I verified your identity. You're just a resident. But why are you the one responsible for everything? Aren't you afraid of us? Ren Xiaosu explained. I'm afraid of you too. But of course we juniors will do the legwork. P5092 smiled. I'm not good at explaining this. I think you are more responsible than them. Also braver. Tell me what you want to do this time. Ren Xiaosu was silent for a while. Since we have been drafted as army doctors, can you send us official military uniforms? P5092 has some doubts. Why do you want to eat in military uniform? Ren Xiaosu said concisely and clearly. If you don't wear military uniform, you have to wait for other soldiers to finish eating. Only then can we go get lunch. P5092 laughed. Just for this matter. Eating is very important. P5092 nodded. I can't give you the military uniform, but from now on, you don't have to wait for all the soldiers to finish eating. But only for you. Ren Xiaosu suddenly bent down and picked up a watch from the ground. Is this, sir? The watch you lost. This time P5092 did not refuse again. Instead, wear the watch on your wrist. I think you have other things to do, right? Ren Xiaosu nodded. On the road these days. Can you show me the newspaper you finished? P5092 thought about it. Then he handed the newspaper in his hand to Ren Xiaosu and others. After Ren Xiaosu left, the adjutant on the side came over. Sir, why did you agree to so many requests from this boy? P5092 smiled. I don't know either. I just think he's a little special. Didn't you notice? In fact, he is not afraid at all. We don't care how much he pretends to be. No matter how real you act, your eyes cannot deceive my adjutant into doubting him. Could it be a spy? P5092 laughed and said, Look how thin he is. How could he be a spy? And the doctor is too professional. He's never been a spy. The best disguise. On the way back, Ren Xiaosu suddenly saw another group of people coming from the south to the camp. It seems that there are more refugees being escorted in that team. In contrast, these people are much worse off than Ren Xiaosu and the others. Don't mention whether there is a blanket or not. Even the seat is a bit crowded. There were only a dozen people in Ren Xiaosu's truck. The location is very spacious. And these people, more than 50 of them, were crammed into one truck compartment. Everyone has to huddle up. Think of this. Ren Xiaosu went back to find the driver in charge of their car. One person secretly stuffed a watch into The three of you have been driving for us these days. It's really hard. We don't have anything valuable on us. The three fire soldiers were also quite surprised. I was even interested in chatting with Ren Xiaosu for a few words. The fire force has finished resting. Before setting off again, there were refugees and a few cars nearby. I saw Ren Xiaosu's car was empty. As a result, they hadn't even climbed onto the truck bed yet. But he was kicked directly by Ren Xiaosu. The middle-aged man was kicked and fell to the ground. Furious. What are you doing? Ren Xiaosu said with a smile. This is our car. Go wherever you need to go. There are more than 10 people behind the middle-aged man. Very confident. There are more than 10 of you standing in one car. Why? Then the middle-aged man began to complain to the fire soldiers. Several officers. The prisoners in your car are too arrogant. We just thought we hadn't finished talking yet. The soldier sitting in the driver's seat said coldly, Get out. Otherwise, I'll give you all your lunch. As soon as these words came out, the other refugees were all surprised. This fire soldier is clearly targeting Ren Xiaosu. Wang Jing smiled. Not old. I don't know where all the thought comes from. Ren Xiaosu laughed happily and said, I don't have much to think about when I'm away from home. Can't live long. Isn't this also to make us all feel more comfortable? Although Ren Xiaosu is greedy for money, but the money that should be spent is never saved. Even if you are temporarily called up, he didn't intend to wrong himself anymore. At this time, Wang Jing looked at Ren Xiaosu. Only then did he realize that Ren Xiaosu had brought a newspaper with him when he came back. Where did you get this newspaper? From which newspaper? Hope Media's Ren Xiaosu explains. I got it from the fire officer. Now everyone is even more surprised. It's only been a few days. Ren Xiaosu is actually familiar with the officers of Huazhong. Ren Xiaosu explained, I can queue up for meals with the fire soldiers in the future. You don't have to move until then. I'll bring lunch boxes back for everyone to eat. As soon as Ren Xiaosu said these words, everyone wants to be overjoyed. And an idea popped into everyone's mind. It seems that there is nothing in this world that this young man cannot solve. Yang Xiaojing is sitting in the car, hugging knees. He watched Ren Xiaosu chatting with the doctors with a smile. In fact, she also has vanity and girlishness. But she doesn't like jewelry. I don't like all the prosperity either. Yang Xiaojing just hopes that others can know how powerful is the person he likes. That person is a unique young man in this world. It's dinner time, and we haven't even waited for the troop transport truck to stop. Ren Xiaosu dragged more than 10 aluminum lunchboxes distributed by Tinder. Jumped out. Run all the way to the cooking class. He holds 6 lunchboxes in his left hand. The right hand holds the height of several lunchboxes. Already exceeded the top of the head fire. The soldiers in the army were shocked when they saw this scene. They have never seen a player eating like this before. The cooks in the cooking class were also shocked. It's like looking at a low-profile version of the Toda King. The cook said in surprise, No, you are here to get food. I don't know. I thought you came to collect me with a magic weapon. Ren Xiaosu opened the lunchboxes one by one. Help fill it up a little. The cooking soldier was speechless. But it was explained above. This young man comes to get food. Can line up with soldiers. It's hard for them to say anything. After finishing the meal, Ren Xiaosu ran back, dragging his lunchbox again. It has become a sight in the fire force. Other refugees are capable of overpowering others. He rushed over immediately. It's just that they just rushed over. He was pushed away by the fire soldier. Don't you understand the rules? Tinder regular army finished their meal. You guys fight again. The middle-aged man who had had a conflict with Ren Xiaosu before was stunned. That boy just now can make food. Why can't we fight? Isn't this a case of differential treatment? The fire soldier sneered. He is someone who has been specifically told to receive special treatment by his superiors. If you have the guts, just go to our commander like him. The middle-aged man finally made up his mind to leave. I'm giving away this watch in my hand. I don't believe it. We can't have a hot meal yet. Wait for the other party to accept my watch. Let's get these people out of their cars. After saying that, He want to find P5092. It's just that he hasn't gotten close to the other person yet. He was driven away by the soldiers beside him. The middle-aged man laughed miserably. I'm here to deliver something to the chief. As a result, the soldier said coldly. Go back. Sir said. You don't deserve to be a refugee who was taken away and thrown away. But he became friends with the top military commander of fire. We even talked like friends. Ren Xiaosu is in this fire army. He has become a refugee with the most special status. Many Tinder soldiers even took the initiative to say hello when they saw Ren Xiaosu. So much so that the 3 soldiers who had collected his watch actually came and said, I want to return the watch to Ren Xiaosu. As a result, Ren Xiaosu refused to take it back. He also comforted 3 soldiers in turn. You can keep it safely. This is to thank you for your help on the way. You can't say that I am a good brother to your commander. I won't thank you anymore. This is wrong. The 3 soldiers were persuaded to go back by Ren Xiaosu. But the news that Ren Xiaosu and P5 became good brothers spread like wildfire. The next morning when I was making dinner, those cooking soldiers were extremely enthusiastic. He even asked Ren Xiaosu what he wanted to eat for lunch. The other refugees on the side couldn't accept this reality, seeing that they still have no food to eat. This boy can actually order food in the fire force. The gap between this person and other people shouldn't be so big, right? However, the fire troops' march plan suddenly accelerated that day. Ren Xiaosu could clearly feel that the car was speeding up. He was curious and asked why the soldier driving the car suddenly increased his speed. The 3 soldiers said, There are orders above. Must reach the front line within 2 days. Not just the Jade Seal of Barrier Number 176. Northern ethnic groups also appeared in our fire north. They massacred people from 2 factories. We must drive them away. While their main army has not yet arrived in the Central Plains, build a defensive line north of the fire. Ren Xiaosu pondered. This northern ethnic group has launched a full-scale attack on the Central Plains. They actually want to fight together with the royal family in Tinder. Is this too confident? This moment, Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt like fighting side by side with Tinder. The originally opposing parties suddenly connected for the same foreign enemy. Ren Xiaosu couldn't explain why. 3 days later, Ren Xiaosu and others arrived at the forward base. But what they didn't expect was that the entire forward base was in chaos. Veterans who retired from the front line slept against the wall holding their guns. There are traces of mud all over the body. Embarrassed, Ren Xiaosu and others. He also saw many wounded people. He was carried from the north and brought to the health center in the base. Ren Xiaosu suddenly realized. During the few days they rushed to the front line, the war in the north was far more cruel than I imagined. Someone was carrying the wounded and crying outside the 3-story building of the temporary health center. Who will save me? Monitor. Ren Xiaosu watched this scene from a distance. This is the first time he has seen a Tinder person cry. It turns out these people also have normal emotions. I will also feel sad for my comrades. At this time, someone from the health center came out to receive the patients. It's just that he wonders if there are not enough doctors in the health center now. They are all treating the patients who were sent before. You carry him in first. Wait a moment, and the fire warriors who brought the wounded are unwilling to do so. You guys save him. He was struck in the abdomen with an axe. If you don't save him, it will be too late. The physical fitness of fire warriors is stronger than that of ordinary people. Some were struck in the abdomen with an axe. I also held on for nearly half an hour. It's just that no matter how strong your physical fitness is, you will still die. Wang Jing greeted everyone to get off the car. Go and save people. Then he said to the nurse, I'm from Wang's 3 medical associations. Wang Jing prepared me for surgery. When the nurse heard Wang Jing's name, then I was pleasantly surprised. But soon the nurse was in trouble again. Too many injuries. The operating room is fully occupied. Wang Jing is a little embarrassed. There's not even an operating room anymore. What to do? Not even a sterile environment. How can you perform surgery on a patient? Ren Xiaosu on the side suddenly said to Wang Jing, Nurse, just bring the suture needle and thread over here. Old man, you come and sew him up. I still have some ancestral ointment here. Should be able to save him. Wang Jing glanced at Ren Xiaosu. You should know. Without careful disinfection. Bacteria. What serious consequences will the virus have if it stays in his body? Ren Xiaosu grinned. Don't worry, old man. After saying that, Wang Jing actually started to sew the patient's wounds directly. I saw Wang Jingmei stitching up a wound. Ren Xiaosu just put some black medicine on it. The fire warriors on the side were still in despair. But they suddenly discovered. When the dark medicine was applied to the first wound, the squad leader's pale cheeks regained a trace of color. They looked at each other. What medicine is this? So magical. P5092 not far away. I have been watching this scene with interest. Although he is not a doctor. But I also understand. A man was struck in the abdomen with an axe. Cut off intestines. And it took another half an hour. Even if the gods come, I'm afraid it can't be saved either. And the soldiers cried in front of the hospital. It's just irrational behavior. But what they didn't expect was that, as Wang Jing sutures the wound, and after the young man applied the dark ointment, the squad leader's complexion turned rosy quickly. The scariest thing is the indescribable place under the squad leader's pants. Suddenly a soldier wiped his tears, murmured, "Brothers, a dead person shouldn't have such a reaction, right?" That's definitely not the case. Didn't the monitor lose too much blood? Why is there still congestion? Ren Xiaosu applied black medicine while muttering in my heart. It turns out that black medicine is applied to the internal organs. It will really directly trigger another function of the black medicine. The little nurse on the side looked at this scene. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable shock. A dying patient not only has his heartbeat, but also his face becomes normal. And it's also congested. At this time, the monitor who was lying on the stretcher coughed. Then open your eyes. Looking around blankly. Where am I? The soldiers were overjoyed. Monitor. Monitor. You woke up. After saying that, they turned to look at Wang Jing and Ren Xiaosu, watching the old squad leader come back to life. These two doctors simply have the ability to turn something rotten into something miraculous. Ren Xiaosu wiped the blood on his hands. Stand up. Although my ancestral ship ointment is magical, but try not to let him move within 3 days. The soldiers thanked each other incoherently. Thank you. Thank you very much. You two are simply like gods descending to earth. At this time, Ren Xiaosu found 4 soldiers saying thanks. I actually added 12 thank you coins to myself in one go. Suddenly his eyes sparkled. Turn around and look at the health center. Ren Xiaosu was still thinking about it before. If the merchant is unconscious, then wouldn't my obsidian be at a loss? But now the situation is completely different. If the vendors were all carried here by his comrades, then even if the patient is unconscious and does not say anything, I would also say thank you to my comrades. And it takes at least 2 people to carry the stretcher. That is to say, the usual portion should be exchanged for double the thanks. This is simply the best place for him to spend his thank you coins. Double the happiness. P5092, who had been watching for a long time, smiled and told someone a little. Until this moment, I just think you look like a doctor. He saw with his own eyes how Ren Xiaosu saved lives and healed the wounded. Only then did I finally believe what Ren Xiaosu said. Bring your comrades to me. As long as it's trauma, and still have a breath. He can't die. Think of this. P5092 tell the adjutant to leave. Then he said to Ren Xiaosu, "Are you an extraordinary person?" As soon as these words came out, Ren Xiaosu's heart trembled. What are you talking about, sir? Why can't I understand? P5092 smiled. Don't worry. Being an extraordinary person is not a big deal. At this time, P5092 has already made its own judgment. He thinks obsidian is Ren Xiaosu's ability. Cancer Ren Xiaosu continues to pretend to be confused. P5092 shook his head. No need to keep pretending. You should understand. With my fire style, even if I just doubt you, I can also take you away. After all, this is Tinder's territory. Don't worry, I will keep it a secret for you. Ren Xiaosu was silent for a few seconds and then smiled. Why don't you catch me? Aren't you fire types very interested in the genes of extraordinary beings? That's a thing of the past. P5092 shook his head and said, have you heard about the fire-catching extraordinary people recently? Now it was Ren Xiaosu's turn to be confused. Why not arrest? I haven't heard of such a thing recently. Because there are always imperfections in the genes of ordinary people. P5092 explains. They are only interested in experimental subject number 001 now. Ren Xiaosu was shocked. Experimental subject number 001? It's the one I hope the media and newspapers mentioned. At this time, the adjutant brought more than 10 suitcases to the health center. Ren Xiaosu looked at the luggage in confusion. P5092 smiled and said, give you your luggage. Otherwise, how can you explain the source of your medicine? Ren Xiaosu glanced at P50921. Anyway, everyone expressed their goodwill. Thanks, P5092 explained. No need to thank my enemy. I'm just making the wisest choice right now. There are doctors like you in the rear health center. I also feel more at ease. My comrades in arms, I leave it to you. See you by chance. But there is a high probability that we will never see it again. Ren Xiaosu said strangely. Why can't I see you? No one can say for sure. In case you get hurt. Wasn't it just that you were carried to me? P5092 frowned. Why are you still cursing people? Ren Xiaosu realized that there was something wrong with his statement. I had to cough awkwardly. At this time, several more injured patients were brought to the health center. Not far away, he called Ren Xiaosu to come over for treatment. Ren Xiaosu glanced at P51. You have changed my impression of Tinder a lot. Hope you can survive on the front line. I believe there will be a chance to meet again in the future. After saying that, Ren Xiaosu ran towards the health center. At this time, the adjutant came up and said doubtfully, you seem to be more interested in this boy. You said before that he might be a supernatural being. Is it confirmed now? P5092 smiled. Just an extraordinary person who saves lives and heals the wounded. The number of injured at this time was extremely high. After Ren Xiaosu entered the health center, he never came out again. At this time, Ren Xiaosu was standing in front of an independent temporary operating table. On the opposite side stood Wang Jing, who was skillfully suturing the patient's wounds. Wang Jing and Ren Xiaosu suddenly became partners. Meng Nan and Liang Su serve as assistants, and Yang Xiaojin was standing aside. Keep handing Wang Jing surgical tools, taking on the role of a nurse. What surprised Wang Jing was, Yang Xiaojin got started very quickly, and worked extremely seriously. General cooperation between surgeons and nurses. It all takes a while to get used to. But Yang Xiaojing only took 10 minutes. I just remembered all of Wang Jing's weapon-holding habits. Not only Miss Yang and Ren Xiaosu. It's not just about applying medicine during surgery. Also assists with suturing. Wang Jing accidentally discovered that Ren Xiaosu was stitching up the wound. Even the stitches are exactly the same as those I sewed myself. And sometimes he doesn't have to speak out what he's thinking. Ren Xiaosu can guess it. After all, Ren Xiaosu copied the advanced skills directly from Wang Jing. This feeling makes Wang Jing feel so comfortable. She has never performed an operation with such tacit understanding. Therefore, Ren Xiaosu. Their progress here is much faster than in other departments. A good strategy secretly counts the number of injured patients treated. They treated about the same amount of injuries. It is the total number of treatments in the other 7 departments, while the doctor is examining the injured patient. Shocking discovery. The opponent's wound has already begun to scab. He asked the nurse beside him in surprise. When was this surgery performed? The nurse said helplessly. Abdominal injury 4 hours ago. The intestines were cut off. Originally, everyone gave up. As a result, the injured are now as if nothing happened. The doctor was shocked. Will these 3 medicines be so miraculous? No postoperative adverse reactions. And the recovery speed is so fast. At this moment, there were many medical staff gathered outside Ren Xiaosu's operating room. Even the person in charge of the health center came to watch. So awesome. The efficiency is too high. What on earth was the black medicine he applied? Ren Xiaosu was applying medicine to the injured person. He explained with a smile. It's my family's secret recipe. Very useful. The nurses on the side looked at Ren Xiaosu's profile. Whisper. She is so young. You can go to the operating table at such a young age. When it's time to eat. The nurse who came here specifically to deliver meals to Ren Xiaosu and the others. I almost couldn't squeeze in. The little nurse wanted to deliver the lunchbox to Ren Xiaosu in person. As a result, Yang Xiaojing intercepted him and looked at the other nurse coldly and muttered, "What are you doing?" As a result, Yang Xiaojing took off his mask directly. Continue to look at each other silently. I'm his girlfriend.